Alright, do another test video here. I am sitting right next to a Comfrey plant. This is the Bocking 14, one of the sterile varieties of Comfrey. I got it from Black Creek Farm, which is a permaculture nursery up in New York. I believe it's in New York. Last winter time frame. Planted the cuttings. There are a few more back here. Behind this is kind of the north edge of an apple tree focused guild. You can see there's a bunch of stuff, some Turkish rocket, a bunch of volunteer fava beans, and then the apple kind of behind. So what I wanted to do was show this Comfrey plant, and I'd already dug up the other 4 or 5 crowns I had, and just dig it up and kind of show what it looks like after 1 year of growth. And you can tell that, from this video angle, there's a lot of grass on this edge, so it did have some competition. It is serving as a rhizome barrier to block that grass from getting into the rest of the guild system. So what I want to do is pull it up and take some root cuttings, and I have a whole other guild area that I want to use Comfrey as a rhizome barrier for. I've got some true Comfrey that I planted from seed last year, but I want to be really careful about spreading that around too much. You really have to stay on top of that stuff and make sure you get the seed flower heads before they go to seed. This Bocking 14, it will go to flower, looks basically the same, but the seeds are sterile, so you don't really have to worry about it if you let it go for a bit. Now this stuff was, like I said, planted last fall. I never cut it or kind of took any leaves from it. I also didn't take very good care of it, so it wasn't being harvested a bunch in year 1, but it also wasn't really being taken care of either. I got watered maybe a few times, and we had a pretty dry spring, summer, and even fall this year. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna dig it up and see what it looks like. Just starting by scraping the grass aside, and then we'll really get down into it. All right, let's see what we've got. Rained yesterday, so it's real mucky here. But once I get in there, you can see it's a pretty decent crown. And I know, just seeing these broken off root ends, that I probably got some more pieces in the ground that I can dig up. For a cutting of this width, which is like bigger than a pencil, I'd put that whole piece in and expect that it would propagate. These smaller, kind of thinner ones, I don't know if they would work, but I'm not going to bother with it. And for these larger pieces, take one of those off. That's probably about, that's maybe 3 to 4 inch piece. Yeah, you could cut that in half, but I'll probably leave that whole as well. And actually something with this one that's kind of cool, you can see it. There are two kind of growth nodes I see. I see some new leaves sprouting from right there, as well as some from right there. Now, it is December here. This plant really should probably be fully dormant, but we've had a pretty mild winter so far. Our coldest temperature, we had 19 degrees on the ground. I have a little temperature sensor, actually, it's right over back behind. But I got, 19 on once, but still hasn't been that cold otherwise. So anyway, as I mentioned, I have those 2 growth points. I can actually see that there are 2 distinct separable crowns in here. So I'll just gently prod them apart. And there we go. All right, I'm back. quickly losing daylight here, but just wanted to show the pieces of cuttings that I ended up getting. And this is in addition to those 2 crowns which I replanted in place, and I'll try to show that if I don't run out of daylight. So this is a pear grilled system that I showed in another video, that I want to edge the west all the way to kind of south and east edges of this with comfrey. And I already put about 20 cuttings, kind of doing a little trench method for these, which I'll show, and just kind of shoving them in the ground a couple inches deep, putting a little compost, a little straw for mulch on top, and hopefully they'll be up in the spring with everything else. So I'll show real quick. Kind of just taking a pick here and just barely scraping the topsoil off the sod. And I'm taking all the stuff with grass and roots towards me here, and that will be so that when I actually go to dig the hole to place the cutting in, I'll do one there, 1, 2, 3, and a little more. Say 4 for now. And you can see I took him through the sod off to this side, the topsoil to that side, kept it separate. And then just take the cuttings, and this is probably, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 inches down. I just lay them in there horizontally, or for these smaller ones, I try to kind of keep them how they were oriented previously, to some degree. Get them in, break up the soil. And that should be about it. I'll top this off with just maybe a 1/2 inch of compost and then some rotted hay. And that's all the cuttings I have for this year. So it looks like I got about maybe 25 feet of this and maybe 15, 20 feet to go, but that'll be for next year. All right, and here's the last thing before I wrap up. So I came back to where I dug those crowns out. And you can see I just replanted the one in its original hole, and the second one kind of right next to it, about 1 foot away. And to finish those off, just a little bit of compost on there, and then a couple handfuls of rotted hay. And those should be good to go. Hopefully they pop back up next spring and continue to vigorously grow.